How we doing, everyone? Actually, let me turn this a little bit. Make sure everybody can get a good clean view. There we go. Beautiful. Actually, I'll move this over here. What is today? Happy Monday. Guys, I'm going to be direct with you. Being smart about your goals is overrated. So many people, and even I was thinking about this actually earlier. This whole idea, actually, this whole live was brought to me by an idea because I was having a conversation with somebody that was talking to me about their new goals, their vision for 2025. And they said, "Oh, no, I got to make a SMART goal." And I said, "Wait a minute, a SMART goal? What do you mean a SMART goal?" And they said, "Well, I need to be specific, measurable, attainable. I need to be realistic," which I hate that word. I'll go into that. And then I got to have it timed. And I thought about it. And I said, "Wait a minute. When I was a trainer, I used SMART goals all the time for my clients, but for myself, I never used SMART goals." And the more that I've studied different individuals in business, and one of the best things you can do is read biographies so you can learn about what people in business are doing if you want to be in business. None of them are setting realistic goals. So the more I broke it down, that's why I didn't like the idea of setting a realistic goal. Because what happens when you set a realistic goal? What are you doing to yourself? Let's break them down real quick. You got specific. I do agree that they should be specific. And when I say specific, even if you're creating a vision board, it shouldn't just be, "Oh, I want a car." No, what color car? What year car? What type of car? And I mean make and model. Get down to the specifics of what is the color of the upholstery going to be? What are the wheels you're going to have? Like, is there a specific wheel you want to have on that car? So many people, when they create their goals and their visions, they're so narrow about it. "Oh, I want to lose weight." Well, if you're 300 pounds and you want to lose weight, if you get down to 299, guess what? You lost weight. So be extremely specific. It could be fitness, it could be business, it could be your cash flow, it could be where you live, so many things. Measurable. So you think about measurable. Measurable is, how are you going to track it? If I want to lose weight, what do I got to do? I look at the scale right now. I'm XYZ. Within 3 months, I want to be here. So now I can actually track it. If you're, women, when I trained women, a lot of times I said, don't overly focus on the scale, focus on your measurements. For them, did your waist come down? How about your thighs? Your hips, et cetera, et cetera. What are they doing, going in the way you want to? Because especially with weight, obviously, sometimes as you gain muscle, you won't lose weight as fast as you wanted to, but you're starting to look more like the individual you wanted to. So how are you measuring it? If it's just the scale, it might not give you the full picture. If it's just your bank account in the beginning of building a business, it might not give you the full picture, but it has to be something that you can measure. Otherwise, you're going to have no idea if you achieved your goal. I could use some US references right now about not tracking their money, but that's a whole nother story. Now, when you're talking about, actually, wait a minute, measurable. We're gonna take this a little deeper here. Many people that I talk to are trying to do this entire thing on their own. They do not have anybody else that they're working with. Now, the question is, when it comes to being measurable, can you hold yourself accountable? Are you able to push that far? So I want to actually take the attainable. I want to take attainable out and throw it out. Attainable is another portion of the SMART that I don't like. And I want to change attainable. I want to change this to accountability. Partner. Whoops, that's an R. Why? Because the majority of people, and it's the way our society is, hard times make, strong people make good times make weak people. But the majority of people today are not able to hold themselves accountable. So attainable, if you're going to create a goal, you're going to create a goal that you want to hit. And attainable is, what level are you willing to push to? When I said that I wanted to play college basketball, most people said that was an unattainable goal because I was short. But that was unattainable in their mind. So whose mind am I judging that attainability from? It's the same thing with realistic, but we'll get to realistic in just a moment. So I would recommend getting rid of attainable and changing it to accountable. Are you able to hold yourself accountable, or do you need somebody? A lot of people have a personal trainer, not because they don't know how to go to the gym. It's because they need somebody to help them be held accountable to show up at 5 o'clock in the morning, to show up at 5:30 after work, whatever it is, even just a workout partner. It's the same thing in business, though. It's the same thing in life. Why don't we have an accountability partner helping us stay on track, helping us make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to get done? Now, when it comes to attainable, the other part of it is, are you making it attainable? Which is why I want to get rid of that word. But are you making it attainable for the past you? Are you making it attainable for the present you? Or are you making it attainable for the future you? Which is also where an accountability partner comes in, because they can look past who you are today and see what you're working for. But so often, whether it be the attainable portion of this or the quote unquote realistic, which we're going to change that one too, but the realistic portion of making a SMART goal is that people make those goals, or that realistic time frame, that realistic number, that realistic weight loss, that realistic income. They make it based on who they are right now, or usually because the majority of people aren't living in the present. The majority of people are living in the past. They're living in an anxiety state because of what they don't have. They're living in an anxiety state because of what they didn't accomplish. Instead of saying, well, today I'm better than I was yesterday, but this is where I want to go. So I need to make that attainable goal. Remember, going back to attainable, I need to make that attainable goal for who I'm going to be in 6 months. I heard a great breakdown the other day, and they were talking about the fact that going to the gym, working out, the one part about it that keeps people coming back is you get the pump preview. So I go to the gym and I do legs. I go to the gym and I do arms, whatever it is. And then when I look at myself in the mirror while I'm working out, I get to see this preview of what I could look like in 6 months if I keep going. Now, if you start a sales job, if you go into business for yourself, anything of that nature, the challenge with that side is I can be doing the work and it doesn't mean that I'm going to see the results right away in my bank account. I can be doing the work and it doesn't mean that I have the growth in my business that I hope to, until all of a sudden 4 months later, I get that pop. I get that explosion. So it's a little bit different when it comes to business, but I understand that's also why having a coach or somebody in your corner that's already been there can tell you, yes, this is exactly what I looked like before I had that pop. Now, when it comes to realistic, my whole team knows I'm not a fan of the word realistic. And I'm not a fan of the word realistic because, again, I haven't met realistic yet. If you have you met this guy realistic? Because I hear about it from people all the time. Oh, well, I don't want to say that I'm going to make too much money this year because I want to be realistic. Realistic to me means you're going back into the past of who you used to be. So, did you grow up in a trailer park? I did live in a trailer park. Did you grow up on the wrong side of the tracks? Did you grow up in the hood? Did you grow whatever it is, and you haven't let go of who you were? You're still holding on to that realistic aspect. Well, because, I'm trying to not be politically incorrect here too much, but because of the day and age we're in, oh, I was born as this. So because of that, I can't have this. So I don't want to aim too high. What the hell does that mean? If we didn't aim too high, we wouldn't have planes. If we didn't aim too high, we wouldn't have hypercars and supercars that can do 200 miles an hour. We'd still be going around in a horse and carriage. When they created the Model T, today in comparison to today, not really the highest specs. But if you break it down, that was a massive jump from where they were before that. So if we're going to talk about making sure that we're setting realistic goals, to me, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And when you really do the comparison of, as far as quote unquote realistic versus what you can probably actually achieve, if you change it around, 2x is how most people think about realistic goals. Well, last year I made 100,000, so this year I want to make 110,000. The normal person gets a 3% raise. I want to go for a 10% raise. That's not a big jump. Oh, well, I'm 50 pounds overweight, so I want to lose 5. Why? Why would the 5 be your goal? How does that even correlate to going for something that's going to actually drive you, something that's going to push you? So if you're going to create a goal, if you're going to set a goal that's not only going to push you to become the next best version of yourself, but set a goal that's going to get you off your ass. Let's be real. If you made 6 figures last year, then if you know your numbers, if you know what you did, can you 10x it? The more that I've studied, the more that I've been around different people, and I'm definitely putting a lot of different people's thoughts into this, but I'm combining into what I've already experienced. If last year my business did $250,000 in production, why in the heck would I come out here and say, well, this year we're going to do 260,000? No. How do we figure out how to do, instead of 250,000, how do we figure out how to do 2.5 million? Because if I was to come up short on that goal, but I did 2 million, am I going to be upset? Heck, if you can't envision, because if you can't envision, it doesn't matter. Don't set the goal. But if you're like, well, last year we did a quarter million, this year I'm doing a 500,000, that's still double what you did. The majority of people aren't going to go for double. The majority of the people are going to go for that little 10x. But the funny thing is, you're going to realize that to do that 10x versus the 2x, it actually takes the same amount of work. It's just changing what work you're doing. And I don't want to get too much onto that tonight because I'm going to probably end up doing an entirely other video about the difference between 10x and 2x and how much it comes into your identity and how they play a role with each other. But my recommendation to you, we're at the end of January. Did you already give up on your New Year's resolution? Do you even remember what it was? Did you make yourself a business plan like we talked about a few weeks ago to put yourself in a position to be able to win this year? Remember, the majority of people, 92% of people give up on their New Year's resolution. Why is that? Because they made either a smart one where that realistic was so small, they're like, I can get it done by the end of the year even if I don't try. Or they were missing one part of it from a standpoint of it wasn't specific enough, it wasn't measurable, and there was no timing to it. And I almost skipped over timing. Timing is when you're going to get it done by. And a lot of people set their New Year's resolutions, I'll get it done by December 31st. Well, if you want to lose weight and you're going to give yourself a whole year, you better be losing like 150 pounds. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds and you're going to give yourself a year, it's either not going to happen or you're probably going to gain 10. So you got to be realistic. That's the only way I would say realistic. You got to pick a date that makes sense based on your goal. And if you have a goal for the whole year, this is also where the accountability partner comes in. How are you splitting it up to achieve that bigger goal? Don't look at it from a standpoint of, okay, well, by the end of the year, I want to do this. What can you do this week? What can you do this month? What can you do the first quarter? And then split it down every quarter like that. So don't just look at it, oh, today I want to do X. Okay, that's good. But if you look at things from a week standpoint, you're going to see how much you can really get done, because there's so much more that you can get done in a week than often you can get done in a day, because things compound. But also don't just look at the year, split it up into quarters, months, and weeks. If you do that, this timing is going to be so much easier. You're probably going to be ahead of schedule because of the fact that you're actually keeping yourself accountable, coming back to accountability. But my recommendation is, if you already made a goal, go back and look at it and see if you thought too small. See if you were trying to be too smart for yourself and you're realizing that those SMART goals are not actually driving you. They're not getting you to where you want to be. Stop doing what everybody else does and making that SMART goal that at the end of the year they don't end up hitting. And it's not because it was too big, it's because it didn't drive them enough. Go push yourself a little bit further. Go take that extra step instead of being smart, I want to be wise, and I want to create a massive goal that when I finish it, everybody wants to cheer for me, and I want to cheer for myself because it's the real goal that I had. I didn't diminish my light to fit into somebody else's box of what realistic is. I hope I gave you guys value. If I did, please click subscribe. Please make sure you like this video. Maybe send it to a friend. I do appreciate it, and hope everyone has a great day.